What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to The Good Truth. I'm Den, and I'm back. Man, sometimes it's tough trying to do this, holding like a double full-time job and then trying to find time to do somewhat of a show. So we're winging it. We're always winging it. That's all we do. Because it ain't easy, man. It ain't easy. Like I said, I used to do a podcast way back in the day. This was in the early Joe Rogan era, and did a weekly show in LA, and it did big numbers, like pretty damn big numbers. But the metrics were off in those days. Like, they were kind of hard to really gauge, and it was hard to monetize at that time. And I remember Stitcher. Stitcher was like the main app to get your podcasts on back in that day. And they did the first Stitcher Awards. And we were like number one in voting on the Stitcher Awards for like months. And it started to taper off, and Joe Rogan crept in there, and the Nerdist crept in there. And then we were like in third place. And I was like, holy shit, are we going to win a Stitcher Award? And obviously we didn't. Or else maybe I'd still be doing that show today. Dude, I got to fix this. Hold on. There we go. Or else we'd still be doing that show today, probably. Who knows? Not that Stitcher really added a lot to the world of podcasting. One of the biggest mistakes I made was not upgrading in process. Was staying just on audio. I had my whole system. I had an engineer. I had a setup. I had a soundboard. I had all that stuff. Every week, do a show. Have people come in. Have guests. Doing the podcast Kevin Smith style on a large felt poker table. We went all in podcasting for that time. And then Joe Rogan started really kicking it off when, with YouTube more than anything. Which was just an upgrade I never made. I don't know why. I guess I just wasn't ready to set up a bunch of cameras and work out, camera boards and switching and all that stuff. And there was a lot of imbibing of alcohol going on at that time too during the podcast. It was quite common for guests, actors, and producers and stuff. They would come by and be guests on our show, and it's like, hey, have some beer. Hey, we're gonna drink. Let's make this a good time. And every time they were. But those are all part of the reasons why we never upgraded to like the video YouTube type thing. And streaming obviously wasn't like a thing yet. So coming here and getting used to this video medium and doing a show alone, has been testing, to say the least. But we're here. One of the interesting things that's been going on in the last week, as I've been uploading clips to the last show, various times and days on podcast or on YouTube and on TikTok. Go to TikTok. I think we're The Good Truth Live on TikTok. Make sure you go there. YouTube, it's just The Good Truth. Twitch, The Good Truth. Super easy to find. One word. You can even do youtube.com/The Good Truth, because I had that URL from a decade ago. So you can still just do the whole old school /The Good Truth, and it still pops up, which is cool. So I've had this name for quite a while, and it's more than a good time to utilize it, in my opinion. But where were we? Funny things happening over on the old social media sites lately, aren't they? Yeah, it seems like TikTok has been co-opted by the right-wing morons. You know what? Before we even get into that, what we have up here, we have the opening song to the show today. It's one of my favorite bands, called Last to Know. I don't believe they're overly political necessarily, but I've known them for a long time, old friends. And just like 5 minutes before the show, I was gonna play the song, and and I'm like, dude, should I ask him if it's okay to play this song before the show? Because he followed my page on TikTok like yesterday or the day before, and I'm like, okay, all right. Haven't talked to him in a while. he's following me. He sees the content I'm making. I mean, there's most likely some sort of coexisting happening there. So it just, it made a little more sense to ask him. Like 5 minutes ago, I texted him, "Hey man, do you mind if I, play?" He's always let me play his music on all of my shows, podcasts, and everything historically. And I asked him if he minded. He was like, "Yeah, go for it." And the song I played, it's called "This Is the End of a Generation," also just really well encapsulates kind of what we're going through in today's political landscape. And as you can see here, it's actually quite a fitting album cover. You have the American flag burning and people. I think one guy over here, he looks like I'm looking in the right direction. This guy looks like some sort of fascist figure, comic book kind of drawn figures attacking each other under fire and a burning flag. It's a pretty intense album cover, and it's pretty old. I think looks like 4 years ago they posted that. Good stuff, good song, good music, good guys. Thanks, Last to Know. Thanks to my friend Gio. Check him out on TikTok. He does sports cards now. I think it's Gio Sports Cards. I'll have to bring that up and let you guys know next time when I know for sure. But thank you, Gio, for letting us use your music. But what were we getting to? First of all, we gotta, now that we're here, bring up our flag of the day. Here we are. After Republic cucks, man. We got to get into what has happened with TikTok. That's crazy. What happened at the is there a stupid word I can come up with for inauguration? Is smuguration? I don't know. The snogguration, whatever. Stupid. The inauguration, and well, a whole bunch of things. Like this flag we have up here today. F the Republic cucks. Kind of reminds me of the fact that the right really loves like their stupid nicknames and really like demeaning people and making people feel like shit. And many years ago they came up with the term libtard, right? And I don't know what it is about it. I don't know what it is about libtard. Like, it never, like, of course it's like a name, it's a derogatory name, it's supposed to make you feel bad, but it did trigger like a lot of people, and that's of course why they continue to use it. Like, they're children. They're going to use terms that get a rise out of you because that's all they care about. They only care about their emotions and making themselves feel stronger and better and above you, even though they're mentally challenged in almost every way possible. But yeah, the word libtard, like, as much as I've never let these terms bother me so much, like I'm not even like an extreme leftist, right? And I only really side with the left nowadays more so because MAGA, they're so ridiculous and crazy, and they've pushed the party so far right that, like, I feel like I got pushed into the left, and I'm happy about it and proud of it. But hearing that word, being called that before by like former friends and stuff like that, like, I can't lie and say it didn't like affect me a little bit, right? Just like, like I don't have anything to call you in response that sounds so nasty like that. I don't know, libtard just doesn't sound good. And being that, and I'm going to make a video about this, so don't steal it, but being that the Republicans have just cucked our government to a handful of billionaires, I feel like from now on they should forever be known as the Republic cucks. And, does a little justice for the many years that they've been throwing around the word libtard. Which brings me to the next point of interest, is that I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but liberal comes from the word liberty, right? Not from like liberally spending, dude. Although when you go to the strip club, you might want to get a little liberal with the spending, depends on your taste. But that's not what liberal stands for. Liberal doesn't stand for making it rain, dude. Liberal stands for liberty. And if I am a tard for liberty, then Hell yeah. I'm a tard for liberty, brothers and sisters. And that's why I will always stand up to these fascist, authoritarian, disinformation peddling specialists that have like controlled the narrative, brainwashed the people, and pushed this country into like the ugliest direction it's ever been. And it's even worse. Man, the shit that Trump did just at the inauguration and the first day in the executive orders are so against the interest of the actual people that voted for him. It's so crazy. And they'll never, ever, ever see it. But, you know, we're stuck with it. So now the fun begins. Us libtards get to make fun of this, like, pants-shitting, orange face-painted idiot for the next 4 years. And there is some beauty to that. Because there's not like a lot that they can say about anybody that we supported, right? Kamala, oh, she's a prostitute. No, she wasn't. What are you talking about, dude? Oh, Kamala, she's a corporate shill. Dude, she's like a DA. She's a freaking lawyer. I mean, most of them are lawyers. In fact, a lot of Congress are lawyers, and there's reason for that, being that they deal in law. So, okay, yeah, no, you're not hurting me. Do you want to say something about Bernie Sanders, like the most awesome dude in politics? It's not going to hurt, dude. But you guys have like this big, gross, pants-shitting, and this comes from actual accounts of people saying that he smells like poop all the time. People from decades ago, before he was president, before he was like super famous, about people smelling the waft of stench coming off of his body in restaurants. Like, I mean, there are accounts. But yeah, he's wears orange ass stupid clown makeup because he's a clown, and you know, poops himself. He poops. He takes big poops. You know, he's a big man. He's got to take some big poops. You know what I mean? Donald Trump. He's the best shitter. He's the best pooper in the whole world. He's so good at pooping. He does it all day long, even in his own pantalones, okay? Like, he's the best at shitting himself. They don't have anything like that. And so they've got to come up with the clever terms and do whatever they can to try and demean and make people feel bad and punch down at everybody they can. So, you know, we fight back a little bit. And in some ways, we're going to stoop to their levels because, you know, they're the Republic cucks. They cucked our entire government to a handful of billionaires that are never, ever, ever going to do a single thing to actually help them. And that is actually truly sad. But after Republic cucks, they deserve it. But what where are we? What are we getting into? TikTok went a little haywire, right? Just before the inauguration. What happened? What was that all about? And then what preceded that? I'm kind of new to TikTok. Right? I mean, I've been on it, but I've never posted on it, like, much ever. And, you know, since I started doing this recently, I've been clipping onto TikTok. And I got to say, the people over there, a lot kinder than the people on YouTube. At least so far. There's so many. The algorithm on YouTube has been pushing my content to like some delusional, like, super MAGA moron, like definite morons that have absolutely no idea what they're talking about. All they can do is get on YouTube, see a video of mine and go, beta boy. And then it's like, that shit just makes me laugh. You're so dense. Like, come at me with something legitimate, like a legitimate critique, and have a conversation with me if you want. Maybe you can get me on something somewhere that makes me change my mind. Like that would be affecting me. But just being an other pants-shitting, supporting, MAGA moron retard, excuse my language for all the people that still don't like that word, going onto my page and just writing, you're a beta. Oh, there's nothing truthful about this. This is definitely not the good truth. It's like just screams Karen. Some dude jumped in and said, sounds like Trump's really in your head. And I'm like, nah, no, he's not. And then he's like, whoa, whoa. And then I'm like, dude, you've commented on this video like 3 times. It seems like I'm in your head a little bit. I feel like the betas are the faceless morons that are just going on people's videos and typing, beep, 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 here's a expletive. Here's a comment to make you feel bad. Beep, 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 beep. Yeah, it's just so stupid. Yes, you guys, you're all freaking stupid. Yeah, moving forward. TikTok went crazy. What happened? I think it was the night before the inauguration. Because I think the day of inauguration, right? That's day one, Monday, is when the law was supposed to go in effect, I believe, or the day after that. So, of course, they shut the app down the night before with a nice, clean little message saying something to the effect of thank you to Donald Trump. Hopefully he's going to save the app and it'll come back. Everybody freaked out. Everybody on Facebook, everybody on the internet, everybody who loves TikTok, everybody that makes money on TikTok was like, oh my God, what are we going to do? I know we've been planning for this for weeks, but and yeah, I think it was like a massive catastrophe. Like that's like everybody's feed, every other platform was going crazy. Just for the next day for the app to be back on and say, thanks to Donald Trump, we're going to come back, whatever it said, which just destroyed credibility within TikTok. I've heard a lot of pundits and what have you, commentators discuss what happened there. And I'll admit at first, I didn't quite realize the implication there. But generally when an app sends a full app push notification based on its algorithm, based on changes that are being made, based on political things that may or may not be affecting the app, they never, ever have directly mentioned a political figure. Never in history. And there's a reason for that. They don't want to offend people, right? They don't want to appear biased. And in this situation, twice on the shutdown and on the reopening, all within like 12 hours or whatever, they mentioned his name 2 times. And like the commentators and what have you mentioned, that kind of piqued my realization about it was that the fact that that's never happened before. And then all of a sudden now they're trying to give full credit to the Fuhrer himself, shows how corrupt whatever is happening now and whatever might happen with TikTok in the future, how corrupt it's become. The fact that it's in their best interest as an app to promote Donald Cuck says a lot about how deep their fingers are in. So what happens? Everybody's freaking out. It's back. Donald Trump gets inaugurated. And then he immediately posts, I think the next day, I don't know, today, was that today? He posted that, no, was it the day of the inauguration? I can't remember. He posts on Truth Social that, Truth Essential, that he wants to potentially push the idea that TikTok is sold, 50% of it is sold to the USA, and that they can keep 50% of it. Look, it's muddy. It doesn't make any sense. The only thing that does make sense about that is that the law is still going through. Donald Trump signed an extension for the TikTok ban. That's all that's happening right now. And he's still pushing the sale of it. The difference is that the initial plan was to force a full American sale to an established American company, corporation, or person. Whoever is a genuine American citizen can buy the app outright 100%. That was the initial play for the U.S. government, either shut it down or sell it 100% to an American. And now Donald Trump has kind of adjusted that to 50%. Probably another sales tactic. Donald Trump was the guy that initiated the shutting down of TikTok, and I don't know. We can look it up right now. I don't know if we necessarily need to. Took all the credit in the world for the pushing of shutting it down. But now now that it is going to benefit his interests, obviously it's something he really wants to do. This is a man who has talked really great things about Xi and China, the ruler of China, and said really awful things about our allies, but said really great things about Xi, and but says he's going to protect us from China with all of his tariffs and all these things he's going to do. But now it seems like he's again working with the Chinese in some facet. And make a long story short, since he's already gathered all of the social media heads together under his control, I have a feeling that he is trying to push for the 50% sale of TikTok to one of his American cuck boys, probably Elon, somebody that's under the reign of the Republican Party, and willing, it shows that he's willing to work with China as long as he and his boys and his little conglomerate that he's formed gets half of it, right? I think what this means is potentially that they're going to change the algorithm for the US, which is a bummer to a lot of people that are super into TikTok, because the one thing that they appreciated the most has been the algorithm. That's kind of ubiquitous on all sides of the map, the TikTok algorithm, and the reason it's become one of the most popular apps in the world is because of that, and the idea that it connects. It's really good at connecting people together with similar ideas. It really understands, based on your past viewership or viewings, what you're interested in, and at least as far as the left-wing political constituency, it seems to have really gathered a lot of them together. And I've only been witness to this recently, very recently, witness to this, and kind of got to see firsthand how accurate and good the algorithm has been to kind of keeping this together. So what the kind of thought process is going forward is that it's potential that a backroom deal was made. It's not potential. It's obvious that a backroom deal was made, or else TikTok would not only had the owner show up at Donald Trump's inauguration, but they would not have shut the app down and turned it back on and said, "Thank you, Daddy Trump, unless there was a backroom deal already made. We already know that's happened. It's already been corrupted. But what are the intricacies of that deal? We don't know, but the guesses are that it's possible they have already changed the algorithm, and that the U.S. side of operations, whoever ends up purchasing it or taking control of it, will have the American algorithm. I think that's a really good intuitive guess as to what's going on, being that the app completely shut down for 12 hours and then shut back on. That's almost like a rebooting, right? Potentially removing the old algorithm and replacing it with something new. We don't know that for fact, but that sounds like a really good guess as to why those things kind of danced around in the way that they did over those couple of days. And what that essentially means for the rest of us is that once Trump's people, which are almost guaranteed to be the ones that take ownership of this if it goes through, they will be pushing an algorithm on us that favors their disinformation, that favors their awful, marginalized content that spreads fear and hate. And we could pretty much say that almost probably every single social media outlet has been corrupted by right-wing hate and propaganda and fear, which is sad, but we're going to have to see what happens. I have been a big proponent of telling people it's time to stop giving them our money. That's the only choice we have, right? Zuckerberg, he's got WhatsApp, he's got the VR, what's the VR? The Meta VR, just Meta in general, right? But WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, probably some others that I'm not even sure of. and those are his bread and butter, right? It's going to be pretty hard to stop using those. Like half of the world uses WhatsApp for their private messaging. So, I mean, like the world is locked into Zuckerberg. But finding a way out of those platforms is the only way to take the money out of their pockets. Like that's the only way. So I've been a big proponent of that. Same with, Twitter and Elon Cuck. Although I don't use Twitter. I've got an X account there for this channel. There have been things posted on it, but I don't use it. It sucks anyway. It's a cesspool. Who else do we got? We had all the tech boys at the inauguration. Anyway, the point is, it's hard to move off of these platforms. They have all of our info for decades. And there is no real way to remove that data and implant it somewhere else that we appreciate. So it's really hard to say what to do until some better options come to light. Which means I guess it's okay to stay. Like I can't continue to propagate the idea that, hey, we got to leave off all the platforms. We got to take the money out of their pockets. Like this is also our only means of communication right now, and being able to connect with each other and support each other for a non-fascist, non-MAGA agenda. So I think for the time being, we should step back a little bit, but continue to make our voices be heard on those platforms about the topics that are of great importance to us. But I think it could be a good cleansing to step back in general from a lot of social media, especially a lot of the ugliness and the hate that comes with it, and to go out and like touch grass, dude, be in the real world for a little bit. But also, we still need to be loud. We still need to have our voices heard, and there's really no other way to do it right now, considering they've all been completely corrupted by the fascists, right? And what is more fascist? What is more freaking Chinese, North Korean government than one regime having all of the media under him and then adjusting and being able to change what media goes out to the people? There's nothing more fascist dictator to North Korea than what's happening right now with our social media. Right now. So we still need to be loud. We need to be loud. We need to do whatever we can until we have other options. We do have one other option, which is Blue Sky. There we go. Blue Sky app, bsky.app. I think is that the only way you can find it? Is it like, because I think bluesky.com is taken. Bluesky.net, is taken. So it's new. It's new. I think it might just be Blue Sky Social. Let's just see what happens. Social. BSKY app. I think that's it. Account Blue Sky Social. Anyhow, that is the apparently only uncorrupted social media platform that we have nowadays, and it's still, it's growing super fast, but it has, a much lower user base than obviously these massive mega corporate social media platforms have. So it's kind of gross. It's kind of sickening. We saw, man, do we want to look up a picture of this stuff? I have an issue, and you know what? I'm gonna say this to all you haters out there. This is my third episode, and I've got no engineer. I've got nobody backing me on this one, but I'm going to say this to you haters out there. Fuck you. I forgot. Where are we? Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say this to you guys. Fuck you, that's all. Yeah, that's what I was looking up. I was looking up the picture at the inauguration. There we go. Inauguration. Tech boys. Let's see what we got. There we go. And look at that. We get a big shot of that. Bros, Bezos, Zuckerberg, Pichai attend Trump's inauguration. There we are. I was a little worried. I wasn't a little worried. I was a little forgiving of Google on one of my recent posts on TikTok and on YouTube. I with the TikTok crazy weird ban shit that happened, I was like, everything's corrupt. You can't, there's nothing you can turn to. But I think Google is still a good place. I don't think they've donated to Trump. I don't think they're under his reign. It doesn't seem like they're, bending the knee. But then, what's his name? I can't remember his name. Pichai, is that his name? Pichai. That's the Google CEO standing with Bezos, Zuckerberg, Elon, in the front row of the inauguration. Trump's own cabinet picks are behind the tech CEOs, the social media CEOs, which says a whole lot about what's going on. So that has me a little upset, but there's still some hope when it comes to Pichai, whatever the hell his dead name is. That hope is that the brothers, the Google brothers, the two guys that actually own Google, they weren't there, as far as I know. Let's check that out. I don't believe they were there. They would have probably sitting right up front. Yeah. It keeps kind of verifying that it was the CEO, Sundar Pichai. I don't know how you say it. That he, in fact, was the only Google representative at the inauguration. We don't need that. Which gives some hope, right? There's a little bit of hope in knowing that the Google owners, the brothers, weren't there. That kind of tells me that they're probably leaning toward remaining neutral in this scenario. And I mean, the algorithm already kind of shows me that. Although I get a lot of haters on Google, all my comments are just filled with a bunch of cuck boys. Don't say that about Joe Rogan. Don't ever say that about Joe Rogan. He didn't do anything wrong. Okay, dude, whatever. He only is probably was the threshold that pushed the popular vote over to Donald Trump was Joe effing Rogan. But yeah, the hope that I have with Google is that they're staying neutral. And I think that might have been somewhat of a message to us, the fact that the Google boys didn't show up to the inauguration and that they sent the CEO. Seeing the CEO there was a bit of a knee bend, I would say, but I honestly, I don't know if I could say that. I think it shows that they're willing to work with Trump and his bought and paid for social media tycoons. Yeah, I say bought and paid for because Trump has given them access to the government, and so they're going to do what he says. But it still gives me a little bit of hope for YouTube moving on in the future. We'll see how things go. We'll see how the algorithm changes, if it changes, and whether or not it's going to help support and promote dissenting views of the Trump administration, or if we find that people like me get overtly squelched. We'll see. Seems safe for now. But yeah, that's that. What else happened interesting on Inauguration Day? Oh, hey, there's that one. That's a good one. Let's back out of that. I like the other one better. There we go. That's the good one. Let me see. Oh yeah, I have a couple notes here. All right. Yeah. There is one other thing. There's one other thing that really bothered me about recent current events with social media. Um, I turned on Instagram yesterday just to find that on my suggested friends, Donald Trump was there, Melania was there, and JD Vance was there. Pushed all the way to the top of my suggested friends. And if that isn't already proof that Zuckerberg is going to be pushing them on his algorithm, then I don't know what else is. There's also a lot of people that have noticed that they were automatically following Trump, Melania, and JD Vance. There seems to be, it seems to have been debunked at this point. A lot of people are saying that they were already following an account that was the POTUS account, and now that Donald Cuck is in office, it just switched over to his account essentially. But then there were a lot of people that were not able to unfollow that, and apparently there might have been a bug in the system. But those things, sure, maybe that's true, debunked, but pushing those three people to the top of your suggested friends is 100% foul play, pushing them onto us, and that's unacceptable. Yeah. What do you think is better? Do you think Google is better? Do you think TikTok is better? Which algorithm do you think is better? Let me know in the content. Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, follow us on TikTok, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Twitch. We are everywhere at this point. I am everywhere at this point. But I'm not going to be able to upgrade the show and put a better package together week after week until we can get those subscriber counts up. So don't forget to like, share, sub, follow, all that stuff. But yeah, tell me what you like better. Do you like the TikTok algorithm better? Do you like the YouTube algorithm better? Let me know. As I mentioned, I do find a lot more friendly people, friendly to the things that I'm saying over on TikTok, but that's because the algorithm really does well at putting people together with similar interests. And then the YouTube app, the YouTube side really, it gets a good mix, okay? So far, I'm going to say there's been a lot more douchebags and shithole comments. But there's been some good people willing to have a good conversation over there. I don't mind it so much because, they make me laugh. They mean nothing to me. But I'm not sure which is better for this type of content. Now, going forward, when I'm able to do better deep dives and go deeper into the real truth of some of these issues that we have today, I feel like the YouTube algorithm is going to be better in that respect because it'll be putting that stuff in front of eyes that normally wouldn't see it or maybe would normally disagree with that stuff. Whereas I do think the TikTok algorithm really creates that bubble, that bubble of like-minded people, which is not necessarily healthy when your entire purpose is trying to speak logic and truth to people that may have otherwise been co-opted by right-wing disinformation. So, let me know which one you think is better going forward for liberal media, liberal agenda, whatever. Is it that TikTok bubble or the YouTube algorithm? What do you think about either app in general and whether or not you're going to stay on TikTok, try to move over to YouTube, or if you think YouTube is just as complicit and has been just as co-opted by the right wing is TikTok and Meta. Let me know in the comments below. That's what I wanted to get into. We're going to do that right freaking now because it pisses me off. Let's take a quick look at Donald Trump's new grift. Why don't we? Trump meme coin price. When you start the show, until you start getting your rhythm. It's like, man, it's like you got to keep talking. You can't have any dead air. And then once you start to like level out a little bit, you're like, okay, I'm calm, I'm chill. It doesn't matter. Here we go. Here we have the Trump meme coin, the most disgusting display of stealing from the people that has ever happened by any sitting president or anyone in politics, mind you. Or, you know, maybe almost damn near anyone on earth. And this is our price right here. This is our price chart, right? Move that over just a little bit. We have the new Trump meme coin. What happened with this, ladies and gentlemen? What the hell is the Trump meme coin? Why is it here? Is it real? Is it official? I don't know. What do you think? Of course it is. He's already claimed it's his. It came out the day before the inauguration. This, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why the emoluments clause was created in the U.S. government. That is the clause that states and dictates that no sitting U.S. president should be profiting on his position, right? We have recent memes that were posted based on Carter, because Carter had recently passed, and you know, Trump in his very small man syndrome way could not handle the flag being left at half-mast during his inauguration, even though shit, dude. Anyway, where was I getting at? Yes. The emoluments clause. Carter had to sell his, actually I think he put it in a trust. There's, you know, it's valid. Basically had to sell his peanut farm when he became president. He had to put it in a trust, a private trust. We had no access to it. He had no control over it. He could not profit somehow with his peanut farm while he was in office. He had to basically get rid of it. And that's what every single president has done in our entire history, divesting their monetary interests while they are president of the United States. So there are no conflicts of interests. That is what a president's supposed to do. That's what a good man would do. And any person that breaks those rules is clearly doing it to better themselves monetarily and not here to govern the people. So what has happened? Donald Trump created a meme coin the day before his inauguration, utilizing the hype and the momentum and his presidency to profit off of you. MAGA, you can't get any stupider than this. You are such dumb lemmings that you cannot even tell when a businessman who's constantly ripping you off and taking your money and selling you shit is not here for you. He is here for him. You can't even tell that the last president, who is worth $10 million and has never sold anything to the public or utilized his presidency for monetary gain, he's basically poor compared to this guy. And this guy's sitting here getting richer and richer and richer. And his last term, getting his son-in-law $2 billion investment from Saudi Arabia that he got by directly putting his son-in-law in government. You people are crazy to ever think that Biden was the corrupt one, when the man who is showing you right here in your face real, true corruption, you people, you're not worth talking to anymore. You're not worth being nice to anymore. You're doing it to yourselves, and the rest of America's got to slap you in the fucking head. Wake the fuck up, you dumbasses. This dude on day one is stealing your money. Okay, so I have a little bit of history in cryptocurrency. I'm not like one of those liberals who, you know, is against crypto, he's against this, he's against that. Like, I don't need to follow suit with all these belief systems, just like the Republicans tend to do. You know, the ones that have gotten 4 abortions are now anti-abortion. You know what I mean. They all follow down the line. I don't need to do that. I've traded crypto. I've been involved in crypto for 12, 13 years, something like that. I have a pretty good idea on how things work. Meme coins have become quite popular lately, and it's also kind of a loophole to utilize the cryptocurrency scenario and allow people to know that it's not a security. It's not meant as a traditional currency. This is a joke and an idea, and if you want to put your money into it, here you go. It's been kind of a way to skirt the idea of, like the meme coin has been a way to kind of skirt the idea that it's a security, right? So, of course, Donald Trump would release one the day before his inauguration. And what's happened? Well, I think we're not looking at it correct right now. What is the market cap? Market cap, 8.52 billion, down from about 13 billion. Market cap. What does that mean? Did Donald Trump just make 13 billion, or what is now $8 billion immediately? No, he didn't. What did he do? Him and his people, he's got like two groups. It's like the Trump group is involved in this coin, and another one of his interests have created this coin. It's definitely, Donald Trump himself and his people are definitely profiting on you, on us, on our government. But it doesn't mean he's just gotten $13 billion immediately. The way, I don't know if a lot of you understand the way stocks work, crypto works, what have you, but the market cap is essentially the overall current, right now, total value of all the assets, like the total possible value right now of all the assets. But the way it works, when you are selling an asset, it drops the price, essentially. There are other people that are willing to sell at a lower price and a lower price and a lower price, and the more that people buy, it basically spikes the price up. It's as simple as that. So if you're going to sell $13 billion worth of your crypto, you're going to see a line that just goes all the way down, which means every allotment you sell, you have to sell at a lower and a lower and a lower and a lower value, which means that you couldn't ever sell all of those assets for 13 billion. There's a really steep curve that happens, which goes down exponentially the more you sell. But at the end of the day, probably $1 billion, maybe some hundreds of $1 million in value if he were to sell it all right now, which he won't do. One of the biggest problems is that he owns 80% of the allotment of coins. 80% of it his, right? And that's usually number one red signal in cryptocurrency. The first thing you do is you go and you look at the allocation of coins. You look up how much is locked into liquidity, how much is spread between different wallets, and where the majority of the tokens are being held, right? A lot of like legitimate crypto projects, you'll see that, a lot of it's been locked into liquidity, which means they put a certain amount of money in, like here's $5 worth of American dollars, here's $5 worth of Trump dollars, put them together, that creates a price, and then you lock that shit up. You can't take it out, right? Generally, sign of a good project if they have a high locked liquidity. And if the owner wallet, the creator wallet, doesn't hold a significant amount of the coin. There have been successful developers like Richard Hart. I'm invested in one of his projects who have historically kept like 50% of his allocation, but he's kind of built such a good reputation in the space that people are aware he's not likely to sell. He's also made so much money off of those investments already. Selling the allotment that he holds is more likely to damage his project than to help it. But we're in a situation with Donald Trump, who's the biggest shill ripoff artist, scammer in history, and him owning 80% of the allotment just means he's going to most likely be slowly selling it off as people buy it. What does that mean? People are excited. People are stoked that he's the president. People are stoked that he's a crypto guy. And so they're buying his coin. That's why it went all the way up to $70, I believe. Can't see right there. That's not all time. That's just today. There we go. Yeah, it went up to $72 in the matter of like 2 days, which is unheard of. What is the total supply? Max supply, 999 million, so like 1 billion coins. And he's got 80% of that. So, that, what does that mean? That means there's 200 million in circulation, and it went up to $73. So it's very clear him wanting to bring cryptocurrency kind of into the mainstream, into the government, which in my opinion, I've always loudly been against Trump, not just because, you know, he's a fascist essayer, but because I think he's, at the end of the day, bad for crypto. Crypto is supposed to be the money of the people, like literally what our government's supposed to be, of the people, for the people, by the people. That's literally what crypto is. There's nothing more American than that. Not only are they taking it away in politics, it's not of the people, for the people, by the people anymore. It's of the people, for a small few people. No, it's by the people, for a small few people, of whatever. You know what I'm saying? Crypto was that. And bringing it directly into mainstream government centralizes the people's money and just further pushes the idea that the small group of rich men can collect this thing that was once ours, drive up the price, and make themselves richer and enrich themselves. Now that Trump is creating his own coin, it's not only pulling buyers from some of our main cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum. You know, I don't like Doge because it's inflationary, and Elon Cuck really supports it, but he's doing that to rip you off too, by the way. But it does him creating his own coin pulls investors out of those other coins. There's a lot of people that are really excited about this coin, Trump's presidency. A lot of rich people too that know they're going to get their taxes cut, and that's why they support Republican politics. The money's going to go to them, so they're going to divest from some of the main cryptos like Ethereum or what have you, and throw it into the Donald Trump coin, which is going to lower the price of the cryptos that aren't related to Donald Trump and obviously inflate Donald Trump's value. So in my opinion, that's awful for crypto as a whole, and you're more so centralizing the money, centralizing the crypto, centralizing where all that money is, right to the top of the government, which is awful and stupid. And guess what he's going to do? He's going to dump it on you. Donald Trump is going to make money off all the people that invested into his Trump coin. That's why he holds 80%. What happens to people in the crypto space when they put all of their money into something because they truly believe in it, and then they lose all of their money? They're not going to blame Trump, unfortunately, because a lot of them are sycophantic, fanatic, weirdo zealots. They're going to blame crypto, right? They're going to blame the idea of it itself, and they're never going to do it again. They're never going to invest again. They're never going to believe in a project that's legitimate and good. You know, there is obviously a lot of really bad, shitty scammer projects out there, and to wade in that genre of finance is tricky and potentially dangerous for a lot of people. Monetarily, but it's free. It was anyway. It was the way to implement the freedom to transact that we should have as a human right? So putting that in the hands of the government, especially a corrupt government like the one we have now, the full-on oligarchy, bad for crypto, you dickheads. You crypto Trump supporters. Ugh. The worst part about it was you could see it from a mile away. Donald Trump had no idea what crypto was. He had no clue what it was. And he went to like the big crypto convention. Can't remember the name of it right now. Went on stage and was like, I like crypto. Okay? Like, if I have the crypto, I'm going to make it the best crypto. Like, he just said shit that didn't make sense. He clearly didn't know what crypto was or have any idea what he was talking about. And all the crypto bros were like, yeah, Trump's like a crypto president. You know, he said he's going to remove SEC restrictions, pull people out of prison that went to jail for breaking the law for crypto reasons, whatever. And all the crypto bros were like, yeah, we love you, Trump, without even thinking that you're literally centralizing the one thing that you want to remain decentralized more than anything in your world, crypto bros. You want that shit to remain decentralized, and you're cheering for the one guy that's going to centralize the shit out of it and be the one guy to make the most profit out of it. He's taking it away from you. Those are some reasons right there why this is just all awful, awful shit, and he's just an awful, awful scammer. But let's get back into this little portion right here. Look at the chart. I think it started at like $1. So $1, this big gain in this graph was very likely, and I mean, I can't really look at the time, not on this graph. I hate these type of graphs, these type of charts. Let's see if I can pull that back. And I don't generally use CoinMarketCap. Let's just go back to, for the purpose of this conversation. This spike right here was likely insiders, right? There's going to be, obviously, on any coin release, a good amount of bots that are going to just buy everything that immediately gets released. And some of those guys with the bots probably made a good amount of money. Those bots are meant to buy immediately when a coin releases and sell. Generally, the way they're programmed is after a certain threshold of gains, right? And the way they make money is by getting in and out of coins, because most of them are scams, most of them are fake, most of them are fakes. A lot of bots probably bought and sold from $1 to $2, unfortunately, just because it's automatic. But some of those might have been programmed to a place where they got right in at the original price and maybe were able to stay in and make a shitload of money. Good for them, I guess. But in all likelihood, a majority of that first initial spike there is insiders, people in this camp, people that knew it was going to be released and then immediately upon release put in hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars right off the bat, knowing that when people realize it's an official Donald J. Trump meme coin, that it's going to explode. So right away, you've got his people, his millionaires, and his insiders already taking money from the public right from the beginning, which is horrendous and shitty. And MAGA, they're taking it from you, right from you, the people that love him the most. That's people that are supporting this coin are the people that he's taking money from. So the insiders get in first at $1, probably all the way up here to this first spike, all the way up to like $30 here. Here's this first line right here, right around $30, right? Then you start seeing some sell-offs. These are likely the early investors, the insiders, getting rid of some of their coins, taking some profit and running. You're likely going to hang on to, 30%, 50%, 80% at this point, since it's a new release and it seems to be heading upwards. And then wham, this is when the public really figures out about the coin. Do you see this massive spike right here? This is the public. These are the Donald Trump fans, Donald Trump supporters, Donald Trump zealots, figuring out that he's got a coin and, oh my God, I'm going to get rich. Donald Trump's going to make me rich. I'm going to spend my life savings at $30 a coin for this stupid meme coin because Donald Trump, he's there for me. Boom. That's when you see that spike, right? So you got all the insiders down here from $1 to $30, like fully invested. And then you've got all of Donald Trump's people from $30 all the way up. I mean, his fanatics from $30 all the way up to $71. Okay. Right. Those are the people that got hurt already after 2 days of this coin existing. Those are the people that already got hurt. The people down here that bought, sold a little, bought, sold a little, bought, sold a little. The insiders, Donald Trump's friends, Donald Trump's rip-off artists. They probably still hold. They're probably, seeing what was going on up here. But this is when his supporters started to buy. You have, let me see. Well, let's follow the time path here. 1:30 a.m. all the way to 1:10 the next day. We have 12 hours of flatness, right? Massive spike from 6:30. Is that p.m.? Yeah, from 6:30 to p.m. 6:30 p.m. to 1:30 a.m. is when all of his supporters were buying, which actually makes a lot of sense too. Most normal people, they have jobs, they have to work, they have things to do, they have kids, they have whatever. They're going to go to sleep probably at the latest around 1:30 a.m. But the majority of that purchasing is happening between 6:30 p.m. 1:30 a.m. Makes tons of sense. You can almost guarantee those are simply Donald Trump supporters investing in their hopes and dreams into the president that promised them he's going to take them to a better life. And over the next 12 hours is flat. Right? This is the best part, the most interesting thing that happens on day one with Donald Trump's scam coin is this. At 1:10 p.m. right here at the height, $73.11, Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Okay, it's hard to do on this graph. It goes all the way down to $33 within 20 minutes, right? The first at 1:10 p.m. The next point I can even hit on this stupid chart, I should be on a real chart, is 125, and it's already gone down at that point $20 from 110. Come on, where are you? Right, to 125, right? Talking about 15 minutes. We have our first little spike. Can we zoom into that? Yeah, there we go. That's going to help. We have our first little spike here. That's when we hit the end of our first dip, right? Because we're talking 20 minutes between that $20 difference, $72 down to, what is it, $32. Oh, God. Is that all the way down to 32? No, $50. 51, 52. Yeah, about $20 difference. We're talking the mass amount of coins you got to sell to drop that quickly in that short amount of time. You're talking tens of millions of dollars most likely, and you're talking probably one small group of people. Most likely the insiders, most likely Donald Trump's people. I can't right now on this show go in depth, but there is a way. You can go and look at the owners of the highest percentage of those wallets and see if any of that supply was sold off. It doesn't mean that it wasn't Donald Trump's people if the 80% is still in those wallets. Very likely that the 200 million circulating supply, that a large percentage of even that was in the hands of different wallets under Donald Trump's people's control, essentially. But when you see a massive sell-off like that in such a short amount of time, it's clear. Look at that. Look at that. It's clear who's doing it. When you see like a smaller sell-off like this, right over here, boom, you can tell these are people having FUD, fear, uncertainty, and death, right? Because you're seeing a lot of buy-ins and sell, and buy-in and sell, and buy-in and sell, and buy-in and sell as it continues to fall downward. Then we get a lot of FUD right here, boom, another big crash. And then we get some hope, boom, there's some big growth. For a brand new coin with such massive hype, with a scammer at the helm who owns a majority of the supply, to wait for it to reach what looks like its apex and then dump within that short amount of time, most likely connected to Donald Trump's camp, most likely ripping off his own people, and all of his supporters that bought from here to there have now lost all of their money by one or a few small actors. From here to, it takes to get a chart like this to go down in that matter, it takes a lot more active people. To get a chart like this where it's just dump in a very, very short amount of time, you're talking about a very small amount of actors to cause that to happen, especially with like a brand new currency like this. So most likely Donald Trump and his people right there proving, scamming his own audience. There's his people buying. We notice that it's kind of relatively flat here. We got a big dip there, but you know, this is obviously like human sell-off. Could be some of Donald Trump's people. Could be just some of the new investors that made their money want to get out. But you can see the difference, that there's loads of hype, a little bit of FUD, boom, more hype building back up, and then a very small specific actor tanking the coin, $20, and just taking loads of cash. This, my friends, is your scammer president at work. Since then, you know, you saw some build back, a little more growth. It didn't get to 70. So all Donald Trump's poor supporters that bought up here are now, 10% down on their money, at least. And it continues to go down, down. People selling off where it sits at about $40. All the people that bought at 30, the early people, the early Donald Trump supporters right here, that when they finally found out about it, from 30 to 40 right there, they still have a little bit of money. They're okay. But a majority of the buyers happened right in this area, and they've all lost their money. Just more added proof as to how much of a scammer our current president is. Breaking the emoluments clause, taking day one to use hype to steal from his own people, just like the Trump golden sneakers, the Trump NFTs that were released a couple of years ago, the pieces of his suit, the trading cards, the Bibles, right? That's the worst grift of all. Not for him. He's not even a Christian, man. He's never even acted like one. Grifting on his poor Christian zealots. And he's taking their money by selling Trump Bibles and then putting the Constitution in the front of it, which is even crazier because that's obviously something he does not care about and wants to destroy. It's sad. It's sad. And I feel great about myself to be on the right side of history, to know that I'm fighting against tyranny, fighting against criminals, fighting against scammers. And hopefully, even though I can be brash and call names and, make MAGA people feel like crap for being such brainwashed weirdos, maybe there can be some change happening. Maybe somebody could get slapped in the damn head by a conversation like this, showing you proof how your president is already ripping off the people, right? F you, DJT. I don't have faith that our country is necessarily going to walk away from his presidency unscathed. But there is hope that at least the pieces of government that are left intact as we stand can stop him from doing some really awful things. We're already in this show about an hour. I would like to go into the very first actions that our commie-in-chief signed into order on day one. You know what sucks? Oh, you know what? I got a Diet Pepsi. I'm definitely going to support Diet Pepsi from now on because DJT drinks Diet Coke. And I was taking a sip of this, thinking to myself, man, am I drinking the same crap he does? But I'm happily surprised to realize it's not Diet Coke. Anything that he supports or that supports that man, I'm out, man. I'm completely out. All right. Let's take a look here. Donald Trump executive orders on day one. This shit's hilarious, dude. This is so funny just how shameful, prideful, and how little of a man Donald Trump really is. Some of these executive orders just prove how small he truly is. And you gotta laugh at it. You gotta. Because not only does he hate that the most, his supporters hate that the most. The people that refuse to let go because they've made their decision and they're going to stick with it. They'll never turn around. They'll never give up. It's the epitome of cognitive bias. That's why we have to laugh. We have to laugh at them. We have to laugh at him because it's ridiculous. And they are silly, silly human beings, and they deserve it. They deserve to be laughed at. Let's see. I took a look at the ABC News' version of the first orders, and I know. ABC News, they're already bought out. They're already part of the fake news media. It was just a list of his executive orders that I already kind of perused yesterday. What is an executive order? It's just informative, dude. Okay? Relax, Trumpies. Relax. Okay? Not everything is fake news, all right? You friggin' weirdos. Come on. Let's see. Mexico opposes Trump's actions. Is this the same article? I don't know. You know what, dude? Did I turn on multi-stream? I haven't even seen if there's any chats. Okay. Probably not. Let me see. All right, we'll check out NPR. Fake news. It's all fake news. Can we get a list, internet? Just a simple list. So I can talk shit on everything he's already done on day one. Half of the time when I'm like scanning a page, I'm like literally not reading anything. I'm just like waiting for something to pop out at me. Come on. Can we get a list now, people? Can we get a list? Day one, executive orders. Okay. Initial rescissions of harmful executive orders and actions. Yeah, this was clearly him revoking everything that Biden has done. What am I reading right now? Global Lear, Latham and Watkins. I feel like this is already looking to be biased, considering that the title of this was harmful executive orders that Biden gave. That seems like a bias already. Initial rescissions of harmful executive orders and actions. President Trump revoked close to 80 executive orders from the Biden administration, including those addressing public health and the environment, the climate crisis, climate-related financial risks. The order also rescinds initiatives released to environmental justice, clean energy, and electric vehicles, and implementing energy as infrastructure provisions from recent legislation. It also revokes Biden memoranda related to the withdrawal of certain areas off the U.S. coast from oil or gas leasing. Wow. Yeah. The fact that we're not getting a list of exactly all of these things that have been revoked is quite telling, especially since they put the word harmful. Unless maybe that's what those reversals of executive orders, unless that's the title of the order that he created. It's very possible. I don't know exactly what this webpage is about here, or the names of the orders exactly. It could just be the name that they gave it. One thing that pops out here, it also revokes Biden memoranda related to the withdrawal of certain areas off U.S. coast from oil or gas leasing. This is essentially removing protections from protected lands. Trump has his mind set on Alaska and drilling in Alaska, which, by the way, his drill baby drill bullshit. Like, we've been drilling under Biden more than any other president in history. We are completely self-sufficient when it comes to energy. And there were still contracts that were wide open, available to take by the oil and gas companies under Biden. So protecting these lands did not affect our drilling economy, our oil economy whatsoever. It simply offered environmental protections to very, very beautiful pieces of earth that very much needed to be protected. Well, he's removing those, and that's what we're looking at right here. Taking away executive orders to allow protections over very beautiful wildlife and land. Okay. It's sad. I get upset with that kind of stuff because, we can get into that quite quickly. The only reason, logically, for anybody to remove environmental protections when it comes to oil is for profit, right? You follow the money, you find the corruption, and this is why, I probably, at least unless the Republican Party changes, could never become a Republican, is because of these moneyed interests and constantly being shoved in their face by the oil companies, right? Lauren Boebert, the congresswoman from Colorado, has recently taken $200,000 from the fossil fuels industry, and then in turn spouts nothing but climate change dis and misinformation, anti-science dis and misinformation. And in my opinion, there is nothing more shameful than being a science denier, because that's why we have every single luxury that we have in our lives right now. Our cell phones, our computers, the ability to stream this right now, down to canneries, soda pop, microphones, every single thing you utilize in your daily life, the way your home works, the way the heat and the cooling of your house, the temperature of the kids, all due to science. So being a science denier, especially when 99% of scientists around the world agree that climate change is real, being a denier of science just shows how truly ignorant you are. And that is my number one reason that I could not support the Republican Party in any facet unless that massive thing were to shift. As I'm mentioning, the only purpose, the only logical conclusion you can come up with for pushing climate denialism, where is the money? Where is the fucking money? Where is the money in climate denialism? It's in the gas companies. It's in the gas lobby, the oil company lobbies, right? When they have protections removed, they can waste more, they can harm the environment more, and they can have bigger margins. That's how business works, right? The more the government puts things that impede your work, hoops to go through, the less profit you make. This isn't about making America better when Trump wants to remove EPA regulations. It's not about making us money. It's not about making gas cheaper, because it never gets cheaper. In business, what happens is it just widens the margins. It increases the profit that the companies receive. And that's why they're able to spend so much money and paying off politicians so they can spout the very information that gets people to vote for the leaders that remove the restrictions. Do you understand that? If you're MAGA and you're listening to this right now, does that make sense to you? Because there is no money in telling the truth that science is real and that climate change is real. They're going to spout the opposite of that to you. They're going to lie to you and say, oh, it's the environmental people and the green energy people that are trying to make a bunch of money by telling you fake science. Dude, no. First of all, we've proven that, because one of the green energy guys is now MAGA, right? And you could tell he doesn't give a shit, have any principles, or even care about the damn environment, all right? Green energy is now part of Trump's world. At least one massive piece of green energy is. He's already making money. They're already selling EVs. They don't care. They don't need to misinform you about science. Like, that's where the world is headed. It just makes more sense. It's less polluting. It's better for the environment. It's more energy efficient. And the electric motors actually work a hell of a lot better and are a hell of a lot more reliable. That's it. There's no money in pretending that climate change is real when it's not. Because it is fucking real. You're the idiot that is being manipulated by the oil companies. That's it. And they're going to destroy our environment more. They're going to hurt our atmosphere, hurt our lungs, hurt our animals, our creatures on this planet, because they've fooled you. They fooled you into thinking that something that is very, very freaking real isn't real. And they've been paid to tell you that. It's so ridiculous. Follow the money, you find the corruption. Follow Donald Trump's crypto. Boom, you find the corruption. It's all right in front of your faces. You just got to stop believing the people that you think are cool, because they're not telling you the truth. The data, the information, the reality, following the money, that's where the truth is. Always. The people that are wearing suits and putting on makeup to be on Fox TV every day, those people aren't telling you the truth. I worked, I'm going on a rant right here. I worked in the entertainment industry for 20 damn years. I understand how publicists work. I understand how actors are. I understand how entertainers and being in front of the TV, how that is. They are not in the business about telling the truth. They're in the business about selling an idea, about making a movie, about creating an interesting scenario. So every single person you see on Fox News, even CNN, right? All of those news networks, these aren't regular people, okay? These are people that get up, they go to work, they sit in front of one of those mirrors with all the lights on it. You know, the celebrity little meal, the dressing room, you know, with the star on front of the door. They sit in one of those rooms. They put on their makeup, or they have a makeup artist putting on their makeup, making sure their hair is clean, keeping the makeup off of their shirt collars, getting them all primped and ready to go be on TV and read a script, right? It's a script. These are ideas that have been pre-written. It's like the Fox News guy. What's the name? The owner of Fox News, right-wing billionaire, completely pushing his agenda, which has created havoc in this country with all the disinformation. It started there, obviously, Fox News. And they're reading a script that has been predetermined to spread ideas that those people want you to hear, right? So the guy in the suit with the makeup in front of his little celebrity mirror, now he's going on TV to read you a narrative that they told him. This isn't real. This isn't real life, people. What are you going to do if somebody says, right now, I'm talking to you, dude in the Midwest with a mortgage, with a low-paying job and kids that's barely staying afloat, okay? What are you going to do if they say, hey, bro, I'm going to have you come and be an actor for me. I'm going to make you paint your face, wear this suit, and read this script. But the script you're going to read is going to be all the things that you're against with your morals and values. But I'm going to give you $1 million, $2 million, $10 million, whatever it is. You're going to fucking read the script. You're going to fucking read the script. And then what happens after you do that shit for like years, right? Look at Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was a lefty, if you don't remember. But he was so bad at his job, he just kept getting ripped on to shreds by everybody. He was just bad, right? So he probably got beat down by lefties, and was like, fucking, I'm Tucker Carlson, and now I'm angry. I'm going to go join the right. They'll believe me. He's such a fucking loser, that guy. So then it switches over to a right-wing network, does the exact thing I'm talking about, puts on the makeup, gets in front of the camera, reads the script. Success. He starts doing really well, right? These are not his beliefs that he previously had before, but they're his beliefs now. You know why? Because they're his livelihood. Everything that has now created this successful life and lifestyle that he has, that he's been handed to by you, the viewers, and by these big corporations that are literally writing down his beliefs for him. You think he's gonna stop doing that? He's not gonna stop doing that. Boom. Then he grows an audience. He grows a fan base by saying these things that they're not even his. Maybe he's starting to believe them now, right? Tucker Carlson's like, I do believe in these right-wing things now. They've been doing me real good, and my people believe in me, and I have a fan base, and F the minorities and F the trans community. Boom, boom, boom. Hand me the money. Hand me this lifestyle. And I think a normal person truly starts believing those things, especially when they're repeating them day after day after day and getting paid loads and loads of money for it. They start believing those things. They start pushing those things. And they get the people to believe those things. And the more people they get to believe those things, the more money they receive. So now Mr. Clown Show, Mr. Makeup in front of my celebrity mirror, and the star in the back of my door reading a script that I don't even know what I'm going to read until I read it. Now that guy is a figurehead of the beliefs that were handed to him. And not only does he believe the shit that he's been spouting for years and making all the money off of it, but now he's part of the problem. And he's really good at doing it. Right? So these figureheads, these people you're looking up to in traditional media, and now it's even infected social media, non-traditional media outlets. If you see a dude that looks like the guy on Fox News. Oh, man, I hate that guy the most. Fox News host. There's a chat message there. No, I'm not a Trump supporter, okay? Far from it. If you don't like that, you can stay, you can go, whatever. I don't generally answer chats until I'm done with my rants. And if you have something to talk about in a little bit, we can. But, yeah, where was I getting at? Fox News. I can't remember the name of that show. Fox News host. It's like The Circle or the Five. Yeah. Yeah, this guy, Jesse Waters. Boom. I hate this man. I hate this man with a passion. Jesse Waters. I just want to get his damn picture up. Okay. Is it with 2 T's? Ew. That just sounds like so wankery, right? Like having two, like water should be spelled like water, but when you have two T's, it just sounds a little funny, if you know what I mean. Can we get that picture up? I want to get that picture up large on the screen if possible. Come on, man. Okay, well, that's good enough. There we are, people. Jesse Waters. Can you see it? Let's try one more time. No. Open image is what I want. New tab. It's gonna let me. We do this one. There we go. It's a fucking small photo. Come on, buddy. Come on. Oh, he looks like a Dapper Dan man right there. Whatever. I don't have Zoom on my screen. Anyway, Jesse Waters will figure out a way to do that at a later time. That's something I need to integrate into the program. There he is. Jesse Waters. Biggest douchebag in TV history right there. You see that guy? Look at him. Look at all these beautiful pictures of this guy's stupid face. Yeah, we're going to make it bigger for you like that so you can really see the beauty in this man's eyes. The makeup he puts on that face just makes the contours pop the fuck out. This guy is one of the most disgusting people in human history. And he sounds convincing, right? I've seen the show. I stay the hell away from Fox News just because I don't want it to infect my brain like brainworms. But I've seen the show, and I've seen a lot of clips from Jesse Waters' perspective, multiple occasions, and 9 times out of 10, the garbage that comes out of his mouth is 100% punching down, like trying to humiliate marginalized communities, trying to have this like macho man bravado, like tough guy, big guy, I'm cool, guns, everybody else that's not me is stupid. You know, this is the kind of garbage he spouts on his show day after day after day. And his whole purpose of being there is to create the machismo crowd and the tough guy crowd, the gun owners in the South that like to drink a beer and, you know, call brown people, you know, racist names. This is what this guy represents, right? And the funniest damn thing about it, he is far from a tough guy. He is far from a cool guy. He's another one of these shills that is reading the script of ideas that big old daddy billionaires given to him. He sits at his desk. He puts on his makeup. This guy is wearing makeup every day when he goes to work just to talk shit on a bunch of marginalized people. I don't even think he's like that tall or tough of a guy. He's kind of a weenie as far as I'm concerned. He's never seemed cool to me. Look at this guy. He's just, to me, he's like the epitome of like fraud. I think fraud is a good word. Fraud, fake, shill. Jesse Waters. Jesse Waters, you're a little bitch. You're a pansy. That's what we like to call him around here nowadays. But no. He's a perfect example of what I was getting into there. These people that follow these large-scale media hosts are doing nothing but like being lied to, but by an actor, right? It's a story they're telling you. They even Fox News has already come out during the lawsuit and said that they're not a news company; they're an entertainment company. The problem is the entertainment that they're providing is affecting the way people think and spreading disinformation at like a rampant pace. It's awful. It's disgusting. I am hopeful that traditional media is dying. It really much looks like it's leaning in a different direction. That's good. The problem is now our non-traditional media is becoming infected too. Watch, you see Fox News channels having their YouTube accounts. You see CNN having their YouTube accounts. And you see people like Don Lemon, in fact, who used to work for CNN, having a very popular TikTok channel. I happen to support Don Lemon. I like him very much. But it's another example of mainstream media kind of starting to infect and co-opt non-mainstream media. And you see a lot of people like Louder with Crowder, right? That fucking gem. That's another dude pretending to be big, tough, strong man who's like sitting there putting on his makeup. And I think there were stories of him like grabbing his coworkers' balls and stuff and like touching them inappropriately. And there's a lawsuit going on. It's like these people aren't the men, tough guys you think they are. They're the people that are grifting on your predetermined belief systems for money. You know, once they figure out the recipe that gets the clicks, gets the viewers, gets the money, gets all the right wingers to keep watching, which they watch media more than any other sect of people. Then they fall into that category. They figure it out. They dial it in. They put on their makeup and they keep spouting it to you and giving it to you and giving it to you and giving it to you until they get rich. They don't care about the truth. That's my point. None of them care about the fucking truth. They care about the fucking ducats. They care about the money. They don't give a shit if they're hurting the community. They don't care if they're hurting America. They don't care if they're doing the most disgusting things to society. They getting paid. They getting paid. That's it. And that's kind of sums up right-wing media as it sits today as a whole. Very dishonest and just out for the buck. You look at Elon, the spreading of disinformation, him buying Twitter at a loss, his ability to spread that disinformation and support Republicans immediately earned him $40 billion in profit the second Trump got elected, right? And the things that he's going to do, you know, with subsidies, being able to get full reign of subsidies for his projects. This is our dollars, our money going to make a man richer, right? So his disinformation, his fake right-wing media disinformation bullshit, which is what they're all deciding to do now, they're not doing anything for us. They're lining their pockets. They're taking our money. There's no other way to look at it. If you disagree with me, you're fucking stupid. You're fucking wrong because it's happening in front of your face. And billionaires have never once in history done anything good for the public. Businessmen historically are good at taking money from people. That's the whole premise, right? Create something for cheap, convince people to buy it, get their money, make a profit. That's what businessmen do. That's what all of these men have done for their entire lives and careers. They've never, created things that give back to the people, especially Trump. He's only ripped off people, ripped off charities even, sued people out of business. Why? Is he doing that for the people? No, he's doing that for himself, for his family, to enrich himself, just like he's treating our government right now with his other billionaire buddies. Anyway. So that was number one of Donald Trump's executive orders, was to undo 80 executive orders from Biden, which, again, just shows how small of a man he is. He just wants to undo anything that the guy before him did, which, if it's on here, there's like two other ones that are insanely childish and insanely small man syndrome of him. Declaring national energy emergency. This really does seem like right-wing shit, but this just could be the names of them. National energy emergency. President Donald Trump declared national energy emergency, citing inadequate energy infrastructure and high energy prices as threats to national security. This declaration directs agencies to identify and exercise emergency authorities to facilitate conventional energy production, transportation, and refining. Calls for the use of emergency regulations, including under the Clean Water Act and the Endangered Species Act. Oh my God, this is fucked. To expedite energy infrastructure projects. The term energy is specifically designed to mean crude oil, natural gas, lease, condensates, natural gas liquids, refined petroleum products, uranium, coal, biofuels, geothermal heat, kinetic movement, flowing water, and critical minerals. It's defined by Section 30 U.S.C. Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean? Oh my God, I can't believe what I just read. It literally, declaring an energy national emergency subverts the Endangered Species Act? Is that what I'm reading? And the Clean Water Act? Tell me I'm not reading that. To facilitate conventional energy production, transportation, and refining, and calls for the use of emergency regulations, including under the Clean Water Act and the Endangered Species Act. What does that mean? That means to subvert the Clean Water Act and the Endangered Species Act in order to fucking drill more. That's what that means. Do you remember Michigan? Remember the kids are drinking lead in their water? It's making them, giving them brain damage, essentially, as they grow up. Lead is so damaging to the human brain, and there was millions of people affected by that. We do not have an energy crisis in this country. The only crisis we have is corporate entities growing their margins and utilizing pandemic and emergency situation, macro inflation, to continue making record profits. That's the problem. The problem isn't that we haven't created enough energy. We are producing more oil than anyone in history on Earth, including ourselves. We have more than enough. These are companies at the top utilizing big margins. There is likely some truth that if you explode even further the amount of oil that we're producing, which is going to harm our environment, clearly our clean water, clearly our endangered species, which is like, dude, Trump, you want to be the most evil motherfucker on the planet? If you're going to destroy endangered species with these acts, you are the worst person. You literally are. Yes, there's an idea that if you drill 1,000 times more, it could potentially bring down the cost of energy because there can be such an abundance and oversupply that there's, supply and demand. There's no reason to raise oil costs. In fact, selling barrels of oil cheaper is potentially the likelihood in that situation. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's not going to have a massive effect on our pocketbooks, as the oil companies still want to retain those large margins. We're not going to see much of a change at all. A lot of times you'll see a change in oil prices and gas prices at the pump, depending on who is coming or going. Regime changes, because Democratic regimes tend to, put more sanctions on oil companies. And so when they put a Democrat in office, they kind of collaborate together to make sure gas prices are a little bit higher to make liberal politicians look bad. And then if you see a conservative coming into office, you'll see them kind of unnaturally drop prices to kind of show people, hey, look, conservatives drop the price of gas, when they don't. And then what happens when the conservative gets into office? They spike back up. They go to their high prices because they still want to retain those margins. Okay? So all that's happening here when you're talking about this national energy emergency, which is fucking fake. It's fake. We do not have that. Okay? All you're talking about here is harming the environment. That's it. Harming endangered species, drilling in new, beautiful, previously regulated lands. And drilling oil really causes a ton of damage to the areas that are being drilled in. That is all that means. That is fucking all it means. Unleashing American energy, whatever the fuck that means. This executive order outlines, oh my God, this is a long one. Do I even want to read it? This executive order outlines directives to enhance domestic energy production, return energy dominance. It promotes exploration and production on federal lands and waters, including the outer continental shelf, focusing specifically on resources such as oil, natural gas, coal, fire. Oh my God, it's literally an act called Unleashing American Energy. Jesus Christ. Administrator of the Maritime Administration assess any proposed deep water port. Okay. From a regulatory perspective, the order mandates a review of existing regulations that may burden domestic energy and mineral development, aiming to remove barriers to consumer choice in vehicles and appliances, specifically calling for the elimination of electric vehicle mandates, and instructs federal agencies to expedite and simplify the permitting process for energy projects. That's bad. And directs the Council on Environmental Quality, CEQ, to provide guidance on implementing the National Environmental Policy Act. And propose rescinding CEQ's existing NEPA implementation regulations for 30 days. The order also revokes several executive orders, regulatory actions from the Biden administration related to climate change and clean energy, and terminates activities associated with the American Climate Corps. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, this is basically an expansion on the last one we read, except for the fact that it is removing, what was it? Electric vehicle mandates. I'm not super familiar with electric vehicle mandates as much as I am electric vehicle tax breaks. It's interesting how that's worded. I don't believe there's been any sort of electric vehicle mandate anywhere. But they put this stuff in the writing as to this is not just executing an act. There's also a bit of theater involved in writing these acts, right? Utilizing language that makes all of Biden's actions sound bad, right? This is done on purpose. Utilizing terms like electric vehicle mandate, which was just a move toward growing the electric vehicle industry by giving them tax breaks, people that buy those electric vehicles. Only thing that I think is positive about this act is that he's effectively removing the likelihood of people purchasing electric vehicles from Elon Musk. I think that's great because Elon's a giant piece of shit. And his own administration might be at least somewhat hurting the bottom line of Elon. Now, granted, Elon's going to get massive, probably much larger subsidies from our government because of Donald Trump. And as stated in his inauguration speech, Donald Trump said he very much wants to make sure we go to Mars, which is can be translated to, I am going to give a lot of your money to Elon Musk. That's all that means. We're going to go to Mars. No. This means that we're still supporting this man and his richness. Mind you, there's a lot of Elon supporters out there that think what he's doing is great, right? He's taking away from NASA and doing things that NASA would never accomplish. I don't necessarily believe that. In some ways, privatization of some areas of business, I guess, can be helpful to the growth of that sect, right? And there has been a much bigger motivation to have breakthroughs in space engineering due to the privatization. There's a little bit of competition. The problem is you've got Bezos doing it. You got Musk doing it. The Virgin guy, was he doing it? I think. But you got them all working in completely different arenas. You got Musk trying to develop reusable spacecraft and going to Mars. You got Bezos trying to develop a space travel for lower Earth orbit travel for civilians business, essentially, right? He's not making big leaps in progress into reusable rockets. And I think that's because they kind of had like a show off between Musk and Bezos, and Bezos kind of lost that. And so Bezos went the route of going more with private travel, space travel, essentially, if that's what you want to call it, where Musk kind of won that challenge and is continuing with the reusable and the Mars exploration portion of things. So yes, what would be better and smarter? To work with the rest of the world. If our government could be understanding what the people want Mars, the people want bigger breakthroughs in space technology, we should be working with our allies. Our NASA, alongside with our other NATO partners, space programs could be developing these things themselves. It's still our tax dollars, except they're going to go toward government work, not toward making one man massively richer year after year. It's just pretty obvious what Elon is doing, suckling the teat of the American people to make himself seem cooler, smarter, and bigger and better than everybody else, rather than like truly working for us. And that's another implication of what it is to be a businessman and what it is to do business. It's never been to help the people. It's always been to for your bottom line, essentially, for the business owner's bottom line. Anyhow, so yes, this fourth act just kind of expounds upon what we're doing with energy. It literally means Donald Trump's bullshit drill baby drill. That's all this means. Destroy the environment, hurt the people, suck the resources from the planet as much as possible, and pollute just to enrich a small few people. That's all this is. Make them richer, make our world worse. So that's that executive order, except on a slightly higher magnitude than the one before. Putting America first in international environmental agreements. Oh, God. Oh, my God. This is going to be so stupid. The U.S. has initiated the process to withdraw from the Paris Agreement, reverting to the position held during President Trump's first term. The executive order also mandates ending financial commitments under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change and revokes the U.S. International Climate Finance Plan. Okay. What does that mean? It doesn't mean shit, dude. Did you see how they named it? Did you see how they're putting America first in international environmental agreements? That is such a misuse of words there. That's just such trickery, right? Nothing within that framework there described what the initial sentence meant. He's pulling out of climate agreements. He's drilling and hurting the environment. He's going to do massive polluting, which, of course, why wouldn't you pull out of a climate agreement if your plan is to create more pollution and add more to climate change? I mean, you couldn't rightfully be part of any climate agreements, could you? And his excuse for that, his last term when he pulled out, was that we are paying more into the climate agreements than any other country. Well, first of all, whenever there's any kind of monetary change between countries and there's a discrepancy, you're generally putting in with the magnitude of what your country implements, right? If you have a larger output, larger addition to the problem, you generally have to pay a higher sum into that issue. There was no real discrepancy. He was lying. This is just to continue down his road of climate denial and science denial, to try and prove to the world that everybody's lying when it's fucking, like, even people in his own cabinet, some of his own picks, I can't remember which guy it was. It wasn't an EPA guy. One of his new picks, they had the congressional hearing, and even that dude admitted that climate change is real, and it's man-made, and it's creeping up on us. Anyway, yeah, we're just further basically saying the same thing. Pollute, create more oil. That's really not going to help us in any way because we're already creating more oil. Harm the environment, pull out of the climate accord. That's all we got. And undo anything Biden did. Putting people over fish. What? I didn't even read this one yesterday. Stopping radical environmentalism to provide water to Southern California. Oh my God, this shit's going to make me sick. Did he really say? I don't even remember this one. Executive order directs the Secretaries of Commerce and the Interior to prioritize water distribution. What? To prioritize water distribution throughout California. Okay, mandates resuming efforts from President Trump's first term to redirect water from the Sacramento San Joaquin Delta to other parts of the state. Okay, so far that's good. Countering previous environmental restrictions aimed at protecting species. Oh, this is complete bullshit. The other highlights the need for a reliable water supply in light of recent wildfires. Okay, progress report within 90 days on the implementation of these policies and any recommendations for future actions. That's not necessarily a bad executive order, except how he politicized it. Rerouting water to help the smelt had absolutely nothing to do with how much water ended up down here for the wildfires, right? It had nothing to do with it at all. Any of that water was agricultural. Had it been possible to reroute down here does not mean it ends up in our reservoirs in any way. It was just some stupid thing that Donald Trump utilized to try and blame Gavin Newsom for our issues with the wildfires. And now he's further politicizing it. And this is purposeful right here because they have a plan. They've spoken about it multiple times publicly that they want to withhold aid from California under conditions and restrictions, which has never been done in history because as Americans, we're supposed to be good people. When our people are in need, we help them no matter what the cost, no matter what the problem. If there's an emergency, we help our fellow man. Republicans aren't doing that anymore. They want conditions. They want Democrats to say yes to all their crazy ideas in order for California to receive aid. It's strongman tactics. It's awful. This is the kind of stuff that a businessman does, which is why a businessman should never be president, at least not a businessman like him. There are probably ethical businessmen out there. I think Mark Cuban is kind of one of those guys. He tends to have logical, liberal ideas and policies. But just a staunch, asshole, shrewd businessman like Donald Trump does not belong as a protector of an entire society, because they do what's for them, what's for their best interest in their bottom dollar. So yeah, that's completely politicized. The smelting wasn't real. The fact that reservoirs weren't full came to the fact that it hasn't rained in 6 months. We've had an entire winter, 0 rainfall. And that's how Southern California fills its reservoirs, with our rainfall, right? I don't know what to think about that other than it's just kind of bullshit. Hiring freeze. Memorandum, this is awful, mandates a hiring freeze to federal civilian employees across the executive branch January 20th, which exceptions for military personnel, positions related to immigration, enforcement, national security, public safety, and certain benefits programs. The director of the Office of Personnel Management may grant exemptions when necessary. A plan to reduce the federal workforce through efficiency and attention will be submitted within 90 days, after which the freeze will expire for most agencies except the Internal Revenue Service, where it remains until deemed unnecessary by the Secretary of the Treasury. The other prohibits contracting to bypass the freeze and allows reallocations to maintain essential services and protect national interests. As these significant policy changes unfold, we will continue to closely monitor developments and assess their implications, and can assist with navigating this rapidly evolving regulatory environment. Wow, those are not the ones I read, and I believe this must be some sort of right-wing leaning webpage, and it's only listed 8 of them, the executive orders. What did that last one mean? Basically putting a pause on all lower government hirees. There's basically doing a form of Schedule F. They are combing through the lower government employees, and it appears as though they're looking for loyalists. They don't want to make any new rehires until they have sifted through the people that are already in the lower government. Traditionally, political party has never mattered within lower government. Why? Why doesn't it matter? Because these are low-level bureaucrats, essentially, paper pushers. This piece of paper comes in, I'm the manager, I got to sign it off, make sure this checks with that, and that checks with that, boom, stamp it, boom, you're off. Like, it's like a drone job, essentially. A lot of them are. They don't need to be politicized. There's no point in it. Unless there are some kind of low-level programs that you need some things shifted around or changed, and as long as you have everybody as a loyalist within that area, maybe some illegal manipulation can occur. If there's a political reason for an entire section of government to do your bidding, and they all support you, that bidding is likely going to get done, whether it's legal or not legal. They have been hired as a loyalist. So the idea is that they will do as told. Whereas in a normal system, which we used to have, where you don't hire people based on their political leanings, there would be people along the chain that would not follow through with an order that might go against not only what their belief systems are, but what their job title is, and the legalities or illegalities of it. There are going to be people along the chain that are going to report that something fraudulent happened if we have different political leanings. But if we have everybody in lower government following the same exact ideologies and believing that whatever Donald says once we do, then we have a lot of massive issues that can occur, a lot of fraud that can occur, a lot of bureaucratic, what's the word I'm looking for? Manipulation, I guess. So yeah, so those are some of the executive orders that went through, I suppose. I didn't see some of those yesterday, and I believe we're looking at potentially right-wing based website. Some of the other things, some of the other very childish things he did. He signed a executive order that every president should have a full staff flag on Inauguration Day, right? He chose J1, to be a little biatch, right? Because Jimmy Carter, a humanitarian and overall good human being, didn't really have like the most impressionable presidency in history, but was a really good man. He passed, and so for a week, the flag was supposed to remain at half-mast, as has happened for every single president in history. But the commie-in-chief, the little man-child that we now have in office, is such a narcissist that he refused for them to keep the flag at half-staff for Carter on his inauguration day. I know a lot of his supporters are going to say, well, he's the president. We should respect him, and we should raise the flag. No. Hold on. We should respect the president that passed. But more so, we should have a president that isn't that petty, that doesn't need his flag to be at full mast on his inauguration day. For instance, I'm gonna talk about myself specifically, just because it's easier. If it were me, if I had become president and I was super proud of my position and a previous president died and the flag was at a half-mast, I would respect that. I might even say it in my inauguration speech. You know, today's a day that we're really happy and proud that I was able to be elected to help the people, help my country and do service to everyone out there. But we do also have to pay respect to the people that were here before us. And so keeping the flag at half-mast is my honor and responsibility. We appreciate every former president in the United States, those are living and no more living, because they've created what we have built. And there is no more of a honor. There's no more of an honor than to have my flag at half-mast on Inauguration Day in memory of Jimmy Carter. That's what a real president would have done. He would have, if he wanted to be narcissistic about it, he could have turned that moment into a really powerful moment of putting his country over himself, therefore leaving the flag at half-mast. Instead, he forces everyone to raise the flag, and then he signs an executive order that no matter what, on an inauguration day, no president should have the flag at half-mast. That is the pettiest, lamest, shittiest thing any leader could have done. And it just shows what kind of person he is. And yeah, you can see it on my face. I have immense contempt for that disgusting pants-shitting weirdo. It's gross, petty, should have never happened. But he's a little baby, man-child, and he deserves to hear it. And you people that support him deserve to hear it too. What else did he do? We're running on 2 hours here. It's about time to call it a night, but let's go over one other thing. I always have a list of loads of shit to talk about, and I never end up talking about half of it. But we could probably look this one up too. One of the other things he did was Mount McKinley. He decided to rename Mount McKinley, which was formerly called Mount Denali, right? Why is this significant? Because Obama, his administration, renamed Mount McKinley to Mount Denali. I'm not going to read into it. We could read into the Wikipedia, what have you. I'm going to say Mount Denali probably came from some sort of local cultural reference, maybe a previous name, maybe an Indian name, some sort, probably likely tying in the region to its heritage and history. I'm guessing that's why they named it Denali in the Obama administration. But being a child, being a petty little turd, Donald Trump wanted to undo that and rename that mountain Mount McKinley. I believe, I'm not sure, let's see what happens. I believe the renaming is in lieu of not in lieu of, in respect to a Confederate general. That's what I'm guessing before we really check it out right now. What is Mount McKinley named after? Mountain was after President William McKinley of Ohio. Huh. But he never visited, nor did he have any significant historical connection to the mountain or to Alaska. Why did they rename Mount McKinley to Denali? The Koyukon are a people of Alaskan. I knew this was going to happen. So it is Alaska, and it is related to their cultural heritage, who settled in the interior area north of the mountain. In 1975, the state of Alaska requested that the mountain be officially recognized as Denali, as it was still the common name used in the state and was traditional among Alaska Native peoples. Okay. Obama did sign through a lot of indigenous protections. I'm not going to go through them tonight. I'm not going to name them. But that was one of his big moves, is to give back to the indigenous people that we, literally colonized their land. And I'm assuming removing that name of McKinley was in respect to the indigenous people to give it its traditional name, Mount Denali. We could look into what McKinley represents as a president, because I can't tell you offhand the good and or bad of what he accomplished. Let's do this. Was President McKinley a good president? Look, that's the first search term. As an innovator of American interventionism and pro-business sentiment, McKinley is generally ranked as an above-average president. That's great. However, his takeover of the Philippines, is often criticized as an act of imperialism. His popularity was soon overshadowed by Roosevelt's. There's the connection. There you are, ladies and gentlemen. Donald Trump, that's the fucking other thing he mentioned in his inauguration that we should speak about, aside from, Elon Musk's Sig Heil, when he decided to, do the Hitler pose in front of everybody, in front of the world. Anyway, oh my God. This is the connection to McKinley. Trump wants to be an expansionist. Trump did not run on expansionism at all. By the way, I got to remember this. He also officially wants to rename the Gulf of America. Let's write that down. Gulf of America. Oh God, what was the other thing? The other awful freaking thing. Gulf of America. Oh, there's another really awful thing he did. Okay, whatever. Go back to the connection here before we go to Gulf of America. Yeah, expansionism. Yeah, the American people did not vote for expansionism, right? Never once in his rallies for the last 2 years did he mention he wants to. He mentioned tariffs. For some reason, trade-wise, he wants to harm our allies and cuddle up to our enemies. It's obviously why and who he's connected to. But he's never mentioned expansionism. Since then, he won't shut up about taking Greenland, which is owned by Denmark, trying to take Canada by economic force, and also incorporate Mexico, and right now the Panama Canal in Panama. Panama president has come out and said, we're not giving it back. We have never given anybody advantages over trade utilizing the Panama Canal. It's all been equal. We've been running it honestly this entire time, and we're not going to give it back to a tyrant, essentially. We'll see what happens there. This, if anything, Trump's going to lead us to war, because he's threatening all of our allies and cuddling up with our enemies. He also halted funding toward our allies, like Ukraine. There's no saying if there's going to be any added funding, but he's stopping the funding to Ukraine, which is obvious. He's such a Putin wee-wee knobber. What? That means that Trump has Putin's wee-wee in his mouth. That's what that means. But yeah, that's the connection. So, like it or not, taking a name that was given to the indigenous people away from them is pretty horrible. that was a clear gesture by Obama to reach out to a community and let them know we're looking out for them and you can have this back. We are going to remove the name and you can have your traditional name back. So Trump removing that name again and putting it back as Mount McKinley is a direct statement that he does not care about the indigenous people of Alaska. The other executive orders we've just seen have proven that he's going to go and rape Alaska for its minerals, its oil, and destroy its land. That is going to definitely affect the indigenous people. And so changing Mount McKinley from Denali back to McKinley is a very, very loud statement to the indigenous people of Alaska saying, we don't care about you. We don't like you. We don't care about your culture. We don't care about your history. And we're going to continue to R-word and pillage your land. And that's who Donald Trump is. He's a disgusting human being. Man, I've just got such animosity. And not because there's like TDS, Trump derangement syndrome, which is another conversation we have to have. Remind me next time. We got to talk about all these marketed woke words that have been brainwashing the MAGA public. But we got to finish this show. Yeah, it's awful what he's done. To R-word their lands, pillage their lands, take their resources, and just to spit right in their face, take away the previously given name of their mountain. That's just such a statement, such a douchebag. One other last thing, he has vowed. Oh shit, what was that one? Oh yeah. We got to write that down. Remove birthright citizenship. Yeah. There we go. So don't forget. I'm having memory issues today. Yes. One other thing that Trump enacted, essentially with an executive order, is to rename the Gulf of Mexico into the Gulf of America, which again is one of the pettiest, stupidest things. I like when Midas Touch says this. They say this all the time. Trump is a WMD, a weapon of mass distraction, and this is yet another one of his stupid, silly, petty, childish things, so he can be remembered by his people. So they're all like, yeah, Gulf of America, bro, guns and drilling oil and taking shit away from the natives in this country, just hurting people as much as we can, destroying everything. America, yes! Gulf of America. That's what he represents. That's what these idiot MAGA tards are doing, man. The Republic cucks. The Republic cucks of this nation. That's what they're celebrating. And that's what the Gulf of America stands for. The same exact people that are like, you're a commie socialist. When now they're like co-opting all of the media to brainwash all of our citizens. And they're the ones acting like the commies. Like they are the communist MAGA party now. And that's what the Gulf of America represents. Now, it actually takes the UN and the entire world together to decide what a worldly asset is going to be named. So the only people, like, this is not a real executive act. Yeah, sure, they can rename it. Oh, we got to do the trans thing too. I got to do that, trans. Yeah, they can rename it, right? All they want. But the rest of the world is going to call it the Gulf of Mexico because it's the Gulf of Mexico, right? All of the land surrounding that used to be owned by Mexico long before Americans were ever there. That's why it was called the Gulf of Mexico. Okay? Simple as that. And also still half of the bordering Gulf is still owned by Mexico. So it's Gulf of Mexico because Mexico was there long before the United States was ever there. Doesn't need to be changed. It's just a show of bluster, I guess. Is that the right word? It's just a show of petty, simple-minded, pro-nationalist ideology. It's all it is. Go America, we're the best, even though we're all fucking uneducated and we don't brush our teeth all that much anymore. That's what the Gulf of America represents. The rest of the world is not going to call it that. As a matter of fact, they're going to do it at such a level that they're probably going to make sure we know that they do not call it the Gulf of America. I promise you that. Especially Mexico. They're really, really going to let us know they're never going to call it that. The rest of the world isn't going to listen. And it's one extra step, one extra thing that Donald Trump is doing to separate us from the rest of the world so they can all call us idiots and losers, so they can all turn their backs on us, even our allies, so they can all stop trading with us and eventually taking us out of the world stage and hurting us as a society. When you've got the entire rest of the world working together on trade, on keeping people healthy. It's another thing he did. He pulled us out of the World Health Organization, which the only purpose of that is as a group to keep the world healthy and keep the rest of the world informed on the spreading of disease within their specific countries. He pulled us out of that last time, and months after he pulled us out of that last time, we had a pandemic that killed 1 million people in this country. Go figure, he pulled us out again. Anyway, isolationism and expansionism, that is what this man is after, and we didn't vote for that, and MAGA didn't vote for that. He never said in any of his rallies or his campaigns that he plans on isolating the United States and expanding by taking from our allies, which this is the kind of shit that causes world war, you fucking idiots. Like, the shit that Biden was doing by helping a small country that's being attacked unjustly and protecting them is creating a buffer zone between NATO allies and Russia, that if Russia were to take Ukraine, they would be bordering our NATO countries. Therefore, if one Russian military man walks over a NATO border, we have to go to war. We have to protect them, right? Ukraine is a border, or is a buffer zone country to keep war from happening. And it's far more inexpensive to help Ukraine than it is to allow Russia to expand and butt up against NATO. It's far cheaper to help Ukraine, tenfold, 100-fold. But I think we know now that's not what Donnie the commie is after. You know what also happens in wartime is a wartime economy. If we can go to war, his rich counterparts, I guarantee you he's got connections in munitions manufacturing, in war manufacturing, essentially. And those companies are privatized in a sense. They're companies that build weaponry and sell them to the government, essentially. I guarantee you he has connections there. And wartime economy tends to be a good economy because it creates jobs. There's generally a lot of activity in a wartime economy. I don't need to go into it right now. And the actions he's taking, pissing off our allies, cuddling up with our enemies, seem a lot more likely that he can cause a war than any other president we've had in recent history. Okay, let's finish this shit up. Gulf of America. Right, stupid shit. He signed in. Fuck. Donald Trump signed an executive order to remove birthright citizenship. Right? Can he do that? No, he can't. This is in the Constitution. Hard-lined in the Constitution. If you were born in this country, you are a citizen in this country. This is how we grew as a good country. We've always been good to our immigrants. This is something defined within the confines of the Constitution. He's done a lot of things recently that go against the Constitution. He says he's a constitutionalist. The Republicans say they're constitutionalists. Yet the Supreme Court that he put in place definitely went against the Constitution by putting him above the law and giving him full immunity while in office, which even in the Constitution, it very much dictates that no man is under the law, is above the law, even a man in office. So with that said, the Supreme Court has already essentially destroyed the protections our Constitution has, right? By creating some stupid false narrative about what those statements within the Constitution really mean and define. So I'm not putting this out of the category of impossibilities. He's already pulled the impossible by, garnering full immunity when the Constitution denies that. And it's based on this really awful Supreme Court of loyalists. But as it stands right now, removing birthright citizenship, it's against the Constitution. It's definitely, there's already been a lawsuit on day one by the and oh God, I can't remember the name of the organization. The ALCS? Is it the ALCS? There's already a lawsuit in place on day one because you just an executive act to remove something in the Constitution is unheard of. You can't do that. We'll see how it affects things, but very likely, if it gets down to Congress, it's anything to ratify the Constitution or amend the Constitution, change the Constitution. And anyway, it takes 2/3 of Congress, which is nearly impossible unless it's something that is like so legitimate both parties decide on it. Right now, we're going to be at such a stalemate within Congress. We have just a very slight lead within Republican congressmen versus Democrat congressmen. Democrats are going to be a hard no on almost everything throughout Trump's presidency, as they should. A dictator should have no wins when he's trying to take an entire country. So something like birthright citizenship, if it gets to the congressional level, I'm sure it'll be like a deadfall every single time. It's going to be very hard to pass. Only way it passes is if his loyalist Supreme Court somehow gets their hands on this, and just like they did with the immunity ruling, somehow write another piece of fiction that can cancel out the Constitution, essentially. It's really ugly what these people are doing. We very much should have elected officials within the Supreme Court. It's awful that we don't have that. It just makes us feel like a third world country when you think about it, because, you know, when you have the highest law of the land all supporting one awful dictator, it seems hopeless. Okay, last thing. The last Donald Trump executive order that we're at least going to go over today. These are the only ones that really matter. Essentially, dude, I need to get this thing off my head. Is the only two genders ban? Is it a ban or just a law written into his executive orders? Let me fix this real quick. Okay. Yes, he signed some sort of executive order saying there are only two genders. Ladies and gentlemen, MAGA, you have solved the gender problem. There's officially only two genders in the United States. Holy shit. Donald Trump did it. Donald Trump fucking did it, dude. Woke is over. There's only two genders. I'm getting a phone call. You got to hold on. You got to call back later. There's only two genders, ladies and gentlemen. It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. Just like woke is not true. Just like Donald Trump derangement syndrome is not true. This is just marketed, advertised words to the numbnuts, mind-numbed, stupid, brainwashed MAGA commies. That's all this shit is. If he can enact an only two genders policy, he can only do it federally, right? What does that mean? Any establishment in the federal government, run by the federal government, they can have a policy where you can only be male or female, right? That means any federal paperwork. I'm not sure if that counts into driver's licenses because those are often state run. But any federal paperwork where you get to check a box, male or female, they're maybe going to remove the box that says other. That's like the severity of this two genders signing law that he's creating, is that they're going to remove the other box from federal paperwork, and or if there are bathrooms in federal public facilities, if there's like a male bathroom, a female bathroom, or a bathroom that says all genders, it's very possible that this law will remove the sign that says all genders. This is your president, you fucking people. This is your president, okay? Gulf of America, which means nothing, right? Birthright citizenship, which is just against the Constitution, which you're supposed to be constitutionalists, MAGA. It's against the Constitution, dumb fucks. And only two genders, which does absolutely nothing. It does nothing, okay? The gender stuff that's going on, that's cultural. That's within society, okay? It's not a liberal thing. It's not a federal government thing that they can mandate. It's just what's happening in small sects of society. They want to call themselves one thing. Let them call themselves one thing. You're not going to stop them. In fact, Republicans, if any of you are listening to this, Republicucks, okay? Generally, these types of things make the problem worse, right? If you have children and you're one of those douchebag dads, Bagdads, makes sense? If you're one of those douchebag dads that's like so anti-trans and anti-woke and anti-this and anti-that, well, guess what? Your Republican, your rebellious teenager is so likely to go down that path because they don't want to be anything like you. You guys are pushing the idea that being trans is a good idea to your children because you're so vehemently against this non-issue in society that is less than 0.001% of society, that you never even see trans people in your daily life or in your bathrooms or in your anything, you stupid morons. It was sold and marketed to you by a party, a Republican party that only wants to take your money, and we've proven it in the very beginning of today's show by showing you Donald Cuck's meme coin that has stolen money from the public on day fucking one. You hear me? You fucking morons. You're just making it more likely to be in your world the more you push against it, the more you raise your kids with hate. Okay? That's what you're doing. This federal ban against genders, it doesn't do anything to the culture. In fact, it's probably going to cause a spike in the culture. When you see oppression, you see a lot of support for the people fighting back. And if you see a lot of support for the people fighting back, you're going to see a lot of growth in those communities. So you dumb morons, if that's something you didn't want so bad, well, you more than likely just increased it. There you go. We made it through it. Almost 2.5 hours. That's all I got to say for today. Thank you to the viewers that showed up. I did have a comment that asked if I was a Trump supporter, which is crazy. Maybe could have looked like that through a couple of the things I said. And that's all the action we had on Twitch. I didn't really get a check on YouTube, and we're not yet allowed to go live on TikTok. I guess I have to apply for a TikTok live thing, which I'm hoping they allow. Doing pretty good over there. Thank you to everybody on TikTok who has followed. Really great community. Said so many amazing things, very supporting things, and only a few like detractors who are just kind of idiots. Should I even mention it? There's one like Joe Rogan bro guy who's just arguing everything under the sun, and these people are completely incapable of realizing that a lot of the videos I put up on TikTok were clips of the previous show. And so they were taking like a 1-minute video and expecting that's my entire position on that statement and then trying to argue against it. And I'm like, yeah, dude, there's lots of reasons for this, but this is also one of them. And like, this particular Joe Rogan bro couldn't understand the possibility that Joe Rogan has shifted to the right, which he has. He supported Donald Trump. He endorsed Donald Trump, for fuck's sake. He had Tim Pool on his show and gave him like a mic to fucking spout his nonsense and disinformation, for fuck's sake. He just couldn't let go of the idea that Joe Rogan shifted to the right and actually has caused harm to this country, which he very much has. And this is why, again, F you, Joe Rogan. You deserve no respect. You deserve everybody to bail on you. You're a commie. You're a traitor to our country, bud. I'll say that over and over and over. Joe Rogan, you're a traitor to our country. Letting this freaking pathetic guy in office. Jesus. Anyhow, TikTok has been amazing. YouTube, thank you for liking and subscribing over there. Got 50-50 mix, I think. A lot of douchebag haters. A lot of I want to say something bad. I got to start watching the terms that I use. Can I say dickless? Can I say dickless on YouTube? Anyway, that's what they are. Bunch of no-faced keyboard warrior losers that make me laugh with the bad comments. So keep it up, douchebags on YouTube. Keep the comments rolling in because you just make me laugh. It's a fun game of watching you guys squirm. Whatever. Not too much action here on Twitch yet, and I don't really pay attention to a lot of the other social media sites. But thank you again for watching. Please don't forget to head over to YouTube. We don't know how long TikTok is going to remain. It's very simple. Go to youtube.com /The Good Truth, or you can just type in @The Good Truth in the search bar. And I think you could type in The Good Truth, one word, and it should pull me up. Getting some more support over there would be grand. I would really like to build out the show bigger and bigger every day. You know what I mean? Follow me on TikTok. It's The Good Truth Live on TikTok, I believe. Let's verify that real quick. TikTok. Uh-oh. Be quiet. Am I not logged in?
Okay, so I've read the executive order on the National Energy.
Let's look on the phone. How about that? Come on. The Good Truth Live. Yep, that's correct. Find me on TikTok @The Good Truth Live. On YouTube @The Good Truth. Very simple. And Facebook, if you want to go there @The Good Truth Live. We don't really care too much about that. Twitter, we're @The Good Truth. X on Twitter. We don't need to call it X, dude. Elon's a moron. You can go there if you want. If you're on Twitter, you can support me there. I think I have 0 followers over there. We don't really use it, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Instagram, The Good Truth Live. But mostly let's pay attention to TikTok right now and YouTube. Follow me, The Good Truth Live or The Good Truth on YouTube. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. A lot of ups and downs, strikes and gutters, what have you. There's going to be a lot of things to talk about during this Trump administration. A lot of fun times, a lot of things that we can have. But the only thing that I care about more than anything is bringing you the good truth. Thanks. Let's play us out with another song by the amazing band Last to Know. Really love these guys. Good dudes. I've known them my whole life, or about half of my life. And this song really makes sense in a world like today that we live in. Cheers, folks.